Hey there, welcome to BSF Recovery Team. Well, we're on the road again. This time we got the Topkic and the trailer. But check this out. This is the winter that just won't quit. Yeah, that's what we woke up to this morning. Well, like I said, we're on the road again. Abby's with us. She's over there in the weather seat. Hey, what's the weather like?
It's about 39 degrees, or 30 degrees, gonna be 39 later today.
Okay.
And the wind is about 12.5 miles per hour, which is higher than usual.
Ah.
Other than that, not that bad.
Well, yep, it's warming up a little bit. It's, like she said, it's 30 degrees now, and the snow is kind of melted. But it's still windy out there, and it's only going to get up to about 39 degrees. Not real good for middle of April. So I suppose by now you're kind of wondering where we're going. Well, we're heading back over to Glencoe, Minnesota to Sidco 4x4. Have any idea why? That's right, we're going to get our second recovery truck. I'm not going to tell you which one it is just yet, but I'm sure some of you have probably figured it out by now. Well, looks like we aren't going to go get the truck today. The Topkic's acting up. It's throwing a fuel rail pressure code, and I happen to have a scan tool with me in the truck. I took a look at it. Our fuel rail pressure is way higher than desired. At any rate, I don't want a chance getting stuck on the freeway with the big truck and trailer. So we turned around, we're headed back home, and we'll have to try this another time. Well, we're back home, and wouldn't you know it, truck seems to be running just fine right now. It's not acting up. So what it was doing is it was setting a code P0088, fuel rail pressure too high. Luckily enough, we had a scan tool with us in the truck, so while it was acting up, we were able to look at data a little bit, and that gave us some clues to what was going on. Let me show you what data we were looking at. Okay, so here's the data I was looking at. If you look at that, you can see the highlighted one there is desired fuel rail pressure, and it's at 5,943. And our actual fuel rail pressure, the one right below it, is 5,900 and fluctuating a little bit. So they almost match. That's the way they should be. But when we were having trouble, our desired fuel rail pressure at an idle was about 4,000, 5,000 psi, and our actual fuel rail pressure sensor was telling us that we were at about 11 to 12,000 psi. So that's where our problem was. It's not acting up right now. It's going to make it real difficult to figure out what the problem is. But let's go over SI Diagnostics here and see what it says to give us a clue. Okay, I'm not sure how well you can see the screen, but here's our code, P0088. This is the diagnostics for that code. If we look down here under diagnostic fault information, it will tell us that that code can set when we have a short to ground in the circuit. It'll tell us that that code can set when we have high resistance in the circuit. And then if we go down here to conditions for setting the code, the actual fuel rail pressure is more than 2,900 psi above the desired. Well, that's what we had. We saw it on the scan tool when we were having the problem. Or the actual fuel rail pressure is more than 27,412 psi. That's our max. That's where it'll set if our fuel rail pressure is over that. We saw it when it was happening on the scan tool. You'll have to believe me on that. But it was not at 27,412 or above. Now, if we go down here to diagnostic aids for the P0088, if the fuel system pressure is actually too high, a fuel knock will exist. Well, I can tell you that when it was acting up, when we were on the side of the road, the Topkic did have a fuel knock at idle. It was not idling smooth. It was pretty rough. So that tells me that our actual fuel rail pressure was high. It wasn't the fuel rail pressure sensor that was skewed. It was an actual too high a fuel rail pressure, higher than desired. Not higher than the maximum, but higher than desired. So if we continue reading here, it says that a sticking fuel rail pressure regulator may cause this DTC to set. So then that gives us two problems to look for. One is a problem with the circuit, too high a resistance, or a fuel pressure regulator that's sticking. So what do? We got to try and figure out which one it is. If the fuel rail pressure regulator is not sticking right now, well, we don't have a way to determine if that is actually our problem. But we can try and figure out if the circuit is our problem. How do we do that? Well, this might sound a little funny to you, but we're going to try and do that with what they call a wiggle test. So what do I mean by a wiggle test? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to monitor the fuel rail pressure, desired and actual, just like we did when we were on the road when it was acting up. And I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to wiggle some of the harnesses that circuit goes through. And if we all of a sudden have the problem or recreate the problem, then we know that it's in the harness, that there's a problem in the harness, in one of the connectors or in one of the wires, something like that. So that's what we're going to do. We got to start the vehicle, run it. Seat cover is going to monitor the fuel rail pressures for me, and I'll wiggle the harnesses, see if we can recreate it. So we performed the wiggle test. We couldn't get it to act up. We couldn't recreate the condition. So that kind of leads me to believe that it was our actual fuel rail pressure regulator sticking. We could certainly unplug the circuits and we could do circuit testing. But honestly, if it's not acting up right now, are we going to find a problem with the circuit? Probably not. And if we couldn't recreate it with the wiggle test, that makes it a pretty good chance that it was our fuel rail pressure regulator sticking. So unfortunately, I can't get one of those today. I have to wait till Monday to order one of those and get one coming. So we're kind of on hold for the moment. So since we're kind of on hold on the Topkic right now, maybe we got some time to work on the barn doors in the bathroom. Should we do that?
I think we should.
Okay, we'll do that. I got the holes drilled. We're going to put the spacers in and put this rail up. But this rail gets turned around. And hopefully the holes still line up. They should be symmetrical. Okay, I'll hold it there for a moment. Okay, we got two. They won't fall now. Put the other spacers in, get the bolts in. The rail's up, or the first rail anyway. That'll be like that. Now we get to make the first door. All right, the next step is to lay out our door here. And we have 117 inches. Divide that in half, comes to 50, well, 50 something. And then we want 6 inches overlap. So what that actually comes out to be is a total of 64 inches wide. That means we're gonna have to rip a couple of these boards. Meanwhile, while I go do that, let's take a look and see what cameraman Gene's been doing. He's actually attending a recovery class put on by the Wisconsin Coalition of Four-Wheel Drive Vehicles.
Well, good morning. It's a snow-covered morning here in northwestern Wisconsin. Yeah, cameraman Gene is going to a seminar. Well, maybe a class, whatever you want to call it. About an hour away from where this off-road safety class is. It's held at Quarry Meadows down in Tomah, Wisconsin, which is a new off-road area. It's a private off-road park in development by the Wisconsin Coalition of Four-Wheel Drives. As Buckminster Fuller, the inventor of the geodesic dome, said, you can't learn any less. Can't learn any less about recovery, safe recovery and things like that. Yes, I have some experience, but I know that there's people there that do not have experience, and they're wanting to learn. So hopefully we are all going to learn stuff together. Oh, and the snow is considerably less. However, we have mist going on. So yes, going to be an interesting day. Well, here we are at Quarry Meadows. Interesting, inviting look here. I'm in character here. I got the BSF thing, and there's my name. We got a bunch of rigs showing up, mostly Jeeps. Got a buggy, for lack of a better term. Anyways, limited to 20 participants, and it is a chilly day here.
The plan is to do all of our quote-unquote classroom work down here. We'll have lunch, and then we will go up on top and do hands-on type stuff.
There's two ways you can do this. So we got an older Rubicon here, and he's got rock rash rims. All right, you can literally just run this right back and pull sideways.
As long as there's not sharp edges.
And you're going to be in sharp edges of the rim. So you're losing all your capacities and stuff. And then also, as Josh is spinning his tires a little bit, that strap's going to come around and potentially click a brake rotor or brake caliper and cut it. So if it's dead, you're just dragging it sideways through the rim works. If somebody's got little holes you can't get straps through, too many sharp edges, it sucks. So what you do, and you can do this with a the toe strap as well. Put a shackle in it, you can make an endless loop. So you take this guy and go get enough around the back side. All right, and then this one stays there, and you come around the back side of that tire again. Then this guy droops down, and that'll never come off. When you pull on that, that'll never come off. As long as you're not into your brake lines, calipers, I mean, you want to look underneath it, but you can pull as hard as you ever want on this, and it isn't going to damage the vehicle.
Can you twist the wheel? Can you?
Theoretically, as long as you have the bigger the tire, the better that's going to work. So now Josh has got 37s or 40s? 37s. All right. When we do Josh's on his big 37, we're obviously going to need a bigger strap than this, so he's going to have to figure that out in advance. But he can stay further up on the tire and still be captured. And then as that tire rotates and spins, it'll clear the brake rotors. This on a small little 31, it's probably going to get into it. The strap on the backside, if it was driving, is going to get into the caliper or the brake line or emergency brake cable, things of that nature. But this works really good, and it will theoretically roll. And it won't slip off. You can pull on it at a lot of different angles, and it works really good. So go through the rims if you have to go through the rim. If you can create this, this is if you Google it or YouTube it, it's an endless loop tire basket. So is what the guys are calling it.
Here we are at the recovery classes trail ride. I was the designated high center guy. So I guess it's because I'm one of the short wheelbase guys on the smallest tires. So that's the way that works. Usually this is the part where I turn on the Grateful Dead channel and go wheeling to relax. This is kind of nice, kind of like going over a roller coaster. Now they're sending me on to where to get high centered. Well, they're trying to figure out which hill I'm supposed to get high centered on. Could it be that one? Could it be that one? Could it be over there? I got the job done. Anyways, these guys are going to do the rigging on this to get me off this high-centered situation. This is kind of fun. Got me high-centered. We're going to pull me uphill. But the tree started to move. That was the anchor. So now they're going to pull me downhill, which is great. They're going to pull me downhill. And what they're going to do is they're going to double line me just to show an illustration of how the rigging is done.
All right, who's volunteering? What? Set this up.
I knew it was going to be big time.
All right, go ahead.
How's it feel being a turtle?
It's a turtle.
Yes, it is snowing out.
Right now, if he was teetered over, if he was sitting in that and he hopped a couple of times, it's going to probably flop on its wheels. It might also hit the ground and flop the other way. So he might just be happy to stay in that thing while his friends help him out. So
All the while saying, I'd like to get out.
yep, but you're stuck there. So as he's sitting there, first thing after that, he's safe, everybody's okay. We do a mechanical assessment. He just tipped over. Let's get it back up on its wheels as safely and quickly as possible for oil in the engine, gasoline leaking out of the thing.
We are going to go on a little trail ride after seeing and learning how to recover people's bad decisions. We've got some interesting vehicles here, Gladiators, lots of Wranglers. We've got a Bronco, and we've got a Bronco Raptor, which is awfully wide. Got an interesting turn where, yeah, a front dig would come in handy for some vehicles. Tight and twisty trails. Yep. Very happy that I'm in a 2-door rather than a 4-door. Just for these trails, it's just a little bit easier.
Keep going.
The video doesn't do justice as far as the steepness of the drop-offs here. This is definitely a Wrangler trail. A full-size vehicle would be hard-pressed to make it through here. But it is a fun and interesting ride. Yeah, and we're back to some weird weather again. We had blue skies not too long ago, and now we got corn snow. At least that's what Mom called it. Say we had the 4 seasons here. Didn't have any rain. Well, we had misting, but that was about it. But yes, just interesting weather today. Today was a great day. Had a good time. Of course, you always have a good time when you're out there wheeling with friends or new friends and whatnot. The class was put on by the Wisconsin Coalition of Four-Wheel Drives, and we had people from Milwaukee, Appleton, northwestern Wisconsin, all different places, parts of Wisconsin. A great time. We had some practical classroom instruction. Then we actually put things into practice, saw how it was done, and then we had a couple of little mini trail rides that were kind of in obstacles. And in one of those obstacles, we got to do a recovery. In this situation, primarily winching rather than using kinetic ropes. Anyways, it was a great time. A lot of interesting Jeeps. Yeah, I could feel inadequate because, once again, I was on the smallest tires, but traversed every obstacle that was thrown at me today. Even got a little rock rash, so not on the body, but the rock rails did their job. Ah, yes, here's Carnage from Quarry Meadows. Anyways, yeah, it's what people from the BSF recovery team do on their off weekends. They go to a recovery class. And like Phil Muth, who put on this class today, said, yeah, the things you can learn because the way different people look at a situation. And you go, I shouldn't do it that way. And some say, hey, I never thought of it doing it that way. It's all good. I had a great time, and yeah, be safe out there, and we'll probably see you out in the woods.
Well, what do you think? That was kind of interesting. And there we have our door. Of course, we got to stain it gray yet and screw it together. Well, I think that's it for now. We'll get a fuel pressure regulator coming for the Topkic so we can go get our project truck, and we'll see if we can finish this week. Thanks for watching, BSF Recovery Team. Keep wheeling, be safe out there, and maybe we'll see you out on the trails.